Hi there. Hi, hello. Hi, Christina. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. So, good evening, Sandra. Hi, Larissa. Hi, Lauren. Hi, everyone. Hi, Veronica. I'm good. I just wanted to quickly address a few things. Thank you. I just wanted to quickly address a few things, specifically the car accident that Zelenskyy was involved in, because I know that this is going to be breaking news, and I know that a lot of people are going to be asking about it. Hi Cronky, hi Duck Drake. Hi Solomon, hi Wendy, hi Brandy, hi Maria Louise, hi Prexis, hi Peter, hi Tammy, hi everyone. The title of the live is Zelenskyy was involved in a car accident, and I know that a lot of people have a lot of questions. So Zelenskyy was traveling back from Izum, and he was in a motorcade as a car collided with his vehicle. Both him and his driver sustained like minor scratches, so they are fine. And they have been in the hospital, checked out by doctors. Everything is okay. Everything looks like he's okay. Doesn't seem like a lot. Hi, April, and hi, Edgar. Doesn't seem like a lot has happened there in terms of his health and in terms of like him being. And in terms of him being injured. So he is fine. However, his driver is now in custody on suspicion of ties to Russian mafia. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Leona. Hi, Lori. Hi, hi, Lori. Yeah, of course. So his driver is now in custody on suspicion of ties to. Okay, let me see. For everybody on TikTok who's saying that it's lagging, I just turned off my Wi-Fi, so maybe that'll help. Hi, Lauren, and hi, Juju. So basically, his driver is now in custody, and that's reportedly. So I don't have a confirmation on that. The confirmation is of the fact that there had been a car accident. The car collided with a motorcade, which, to be fair, is I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, here's the thing: there is no way it was an accident, right? There is no way that a car just randomly collided with a motorcade, because it's a presidential motorcade. You can imagine how many vehicles are riding in a column, right? So there is like absolutely no way that somebody just didn't see or lost control or just kind of accidentally drove into the motorcade. Hi, Peter. Hi, Grumpy. Hi, Solomon. Hi, hi, DM Duck. And hi, Joseph. So yeah, there is absolutely zero way that it was just negligence on the driver's behalf. There is absolutely zero way that it was an accident. There is absolutely no way that it was not provoked or not planned in some sort of way, because it was a travel back from Izum. Izum is a town recently liberated in Kharkiv Oblast and Kharkiv region. And Zelenskyy was there in order to symbolically raise the Ukrainian flag over the city administration in the central square, where he also delivered a speech that touched a lot of people, in which he said, and I quote, we used to look up at the sky to see the sun and we used to look up to see the sky and the sun. Now we look up to see the Ukrainian flag, the colors of blue and yellow, because those colors mean that our defenders are nearby, and they mean that we are safe. And after that, he was traveling back, and as he was traveling back, a random vehicle basically collided with his vehicle that was a part of a motorcade. He was practically unharmed. Everything is okay with him, allegedly. Now, this is an allegation. This has not been confirmed. The accident has been confirmed by Ukrainian authorities. They did not say much about it. They say that absolutely every law enforcement structure in Ukraine is investigating this accident. and trying to figure out how, why, and when, and for what reason. But there are allegations, there are reports that his driver has been taken into custody on suspicion of ties to Russian mafia, which honestly, let's be fair, not surprising. Dobry večer, because at this point, why wouldn't he be, right? Why wouldn't he be a part of Russian mafia? So we will see where that takes us. We'll see where that pans out. Another very, very important moment today. Let me find my Twitter. Another very important thing that happened today that hasn't been confirmed yet by the Ukrainian authorities, but has been reported about by a lot of independent journalists who frequent the front lines. A city in Kherson region, 10 kilometers away from Kherson, has been liberated by the Ukrainian army. And that city is called Kyselivka. And if you remember Chernobyevka is the inside joke of Ukrainians, where Russians kept bringing their ammunition and their columns of equipment and full battalions of soldiers to the city called Chernobyevka, because Chernobyevka has an airbase, and they needed that airbase in order to take off with their fighter jets, not from the territory of Russia, but from the territory of Ukraine, in order to make strikes easier. But because of the location of Chernobyevka, even though it was occupied, every single battalion, every single brigade of Russians has been destroyed by the Ukrainian army, basically right as they have entered Chernobyevka. I believe it has been about 30-something times at this point. So Chernobyevka is right near Kherson, while Kyselivka, so let me show you a nifty little map over here. I am going to make my brightness way lower. So here is a nifty little map. This is Kherson, and this is Kyselivka. Chernobyevka, however, is, this is Kyselivka right here. This is Kherson, and this is Chernobyevka. So Kyselivka is 10 kilometers away, I think 10 to 15. Well, so here's the thing. Journalists are reporting it's 10 kilometers away from central Kherson. From central Kherson, but when I personally look at the map, it says 25 kilometers. However, I'm not a frontline journalist. I'm not there, and I don't know. But it is very close distance to Kherson. I would say I trust Google Maps and their estimation of how far away it is, rather than a reporter. And it's Visegrad 24 that had reported that it's 10 kilometers from central Kherson. I would say it's 25 according to research, but it is incredibly close, and they are making advances. Now, in preparation to those advances, the Russian army reportedly has been bringing in their ammunition into Crimea, and they have been bringing parts to build a bridge towards Kherson, a bridge crossing to Kherson from Crimea, in order to bring reinforcements, because the Ukrainian army is nearing, and they're nearing fast, and they're nearing steady. So those are some reports. Another interesting report is, hi Norm. Another interesting report is that Kadyrovite troops, you guys must know who Kadyrovite troops are, but if you don't, Kadyrovites are the troops of the Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov, who is widely despised, and he is the leader whose father betrayed Chechnya in the Second Chechen War and allowed for Russia to take it over, essentially betraying the battalion of Johar Dudayev, who was fighting for independence of Chechnya. So he now has his troops, and basically he holds the whole Chechen Republic. Hi, Lucky. Oh my gosh, the Nightbot hates you. Basically, essentially holding the whole Chechen Republic hostage and in fear with his elite troops. But the thing is, his elite troops are very good for scaring civilians. They're incredibly good for torturing civilians. They're very good for kidnapping people. Are they good military? No. Are they ruthless militia? Yes. So those Kadyrovites troops that they have been scaring the whole Ukraine with in the beginning of the invasion are also the same troops that you have seen on TikTok pretending like they're fighting with the Ukrainian army while they are quite literally filming TikToks and YouTube videos for the Russian audience to eat it up. And they are fighting with empty spaces, with empty parking lots, with empty buildings and stuff like that. So an entire battalion of Kadyrovite troops had arrived onto the territory of Ukraine to bring on the terror. However, they have arrived here in nifty grifty soft exterior vehicles. Oh, well, let me do this. They have arrived in the territory of Ukraine in the nifty grifty soft shell soft exterior vehicles. For those of you who don't know what soft exterior vehicles means, that means they are not military grade vehicles. They are not bulletproof, and basically they're easy to destroy with something like a Bayraktar, or easy to destroy with something like a Javelin. Even easier to destroy with a HIMARS, but you know, that would not be used on a Kadyrovite car. But I will show you this video in full force, and it's yeah, quite literally, they showed up in pickup trucks. So I don't know what they're thinking, but with the equipment and with the technology that Ukraine has right now, obviously, this is not going to pan out well for them. Another thing that I wanted to bring up today, there's a lot of stuff that came out after I had done my, hi KK, after I had done my live. The Chechens showed up pillaging. Yeah, the Chechens showed up in civilian cars, which is a very, very incredibly smart thing to do. It's basically the equivalent of that Russian soldier wearing Adidas sneakers to combat. That's the equivalent of that. It's about as smart. But so another thing that I wanted to bring up, there is a lot of stuff that came out after I had done my earlier live, hence I'm here now. There is a trailer that came out for a movie called Bucha. For a movie called Bucha. And I want to potentially upload. I really, really, really want to save this so I can show it to you, but I'm just going to send it to myself. I hope that it opens up, yes, and I'm going to show it to you on full screen here. So it's a trailer to the movie called Bucha. It doesn't say when it's coming out. It doesn't really say much about it. I mean, you will see the trailer and you will understand by itself. Basically, the goal of this movie is to show the atrocities that Russians have committed on the territory of Ukraine in the towns of Irpin, Bucha, and kind of that triangle, and all of these horrors and atrocities that you have heard of. This movie is based on real events, based on real stories of survivors. And if you remember Schindler's List, that movie that all of us had to stomach, because it's incredibly hard to stomach to watch it, but it's such an important thing to watch because it needs to be seen. So we never forgive and we never forget and we never repeat, right? Looks like Russians might not have seen the Schindler's List. But so this movie is basically made with the same intention as the Schindler's List. and it is going to be about as horrifying and as hard to watch. I'm going to show you the trailer. The trailer alone, it doesn't really show gore per se, but the trailer alone makes you think, and the trailer alone makes you feel. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to share my screen here on YouTube, and for those of you who are on TikTok, I am going to, 1 second, I just need to switch over because currently I can only show tabs in Chrome. But okay, so share screen, Chrome tab, drama film Bucha. Okay, 1 sec. Because I would like it to be shown at the same time as on TikTok. So just gosh, technology normally technology hates me. Technology hates me more. Hi, Christina. I thought I said hello. I thought you were already here. Which lady's TikTok? Oh, hi, Angela. Good to see you. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to make it full screen.
Сотни лет это была русская земля. Русские ее устраивали и проливали за нее кровь. Пока в 91 году ради власти кучка предателей и развалила Великую империю. В городе действует комендантский час. Выходить на улицу можно только с 10 до 12. И только на своей улице. На руках обязательно носить белые повязки. На каждом доме должно быть написано по-русски, сколько там находится человек. Мы спасем эту страну. Выбора нет. Либо они, либо мы. А кто не согласен? Что ж. Не беспокойтесь. Вы все нормальные. А это грязь. Мы здесь, чтобы очистить вас от этой грязи.
So this is basically the trailer to the movie. The movie is so I have no idea when it's coming out. I'm being told by Brandy that she read it's coming out on the 1 year anniversary of the events in Bucha. I believe that might be true. I so far haven't found a source yet that would tell me that. But that sounds highly likely. Thank you for letting me know. So this movie is based on real events. This movie is based on stories of survivors from Bucha. And this movie is something that is going to be incredibly hard to watch. But as incredibly hard to watch, as incredibly hard to watch as it is going to be something that I think everybody should see. I'm being asked on TikTok, what is the reference to 1991? Well, the reference to 1991 is that Ukraine, so in Russia, the rhetoric is that Ukraine did not exist as a country before it entered Soviet Union, that it only formed as a separate country within the bounds of Soviet Union. And so, therefore, they're saying that in 1991, when Ukraine decided to betray Russia because some Ukrainians wanted to be in power, they lost this precious Russian land. Ukraine existed far before Russia. Ukraine is Kyiv Rus. Ukraine is a much older nation and much older country, and a much older Ukrainian is a much older language than Russian is. In fact, Russian is loosely based on Ukrainian. So Героям слава. Slava ZSU. So this film is, Deborah, the film is not out yet. This is just a teaser trailer. It's coming out. Kyiv predates Moscow by a long time. Kyiv was formed in 400s, while Moscow was still a mud puddle in 1100s. So yes, by 1,000 years, give or take. So, so here's the thing. The first mention of Moscow, I believe, is in 1117. And that's when the exiled Prince of Kyiv Rus, he was exiled by Kyiv Rus because he was way too power hungry and the people wanted him out. And he was the 9th child, I believe, out of 15. And he wanted to be king of Kyiv and Rus. He obviously wasn't going to be because he was 9th in line to the throne. And he was betraying his brothers and he wanted to get to power. And so he was exiled. And the first mention of Moscow is him writing to one of his brothers saying, you should come visit me in Moscov. Moscov was the name of Moscow. So it wasn't Moscow, it was Moscov. So not Moskva, as that's the Russian name of the city, but Moscov. And this is how Russians tie themselves to Kyiv Rus, is that Yuri Dolgoruki founded Moscow. In reality, he did not found Moscow. He was in the settlement of Moskov, and it existed before he got there. He did not do anything to it. He did not found the city. He lived there for a little while, gathered an army, and then went and basically took over power. And then he was killed by the residents of Kyiv Rus, and he was not buried within the bounds of Kyiv Rus near his father because people despised him so much. So that is the Russian tie of Russia to Kyiv Rus, okay? The one prince that was quite literally exiled for being a giant turd. And so, yes, so in 1117 or 1157, I believe, either 1117 or 1157, I'm blanking out on it right now. But so that's the first mention of Moscow, and that's what they attribute to him founding it, which he didn't. But so yeah, the movie, it's just a teaser trailer. It is going to come out, as I'm being told, on the 1st anniversary of the discovery of the events in Bucha. And I think it's a movie that everybody should see. I, for one, will gather all of my courage and probably will have to watch it on an empty stomach. Veronica also just told me that there is a longer trailer on YouTube. I only had seen it on Twitter. I did not look it up on YouTube. So if you guys want to, I will, and I will show the longer one here. But Veronica, is there much more in that trailer? Because I will watch it after the stream, obviously, but I am wondering if anybody else wants to watch it and how much more is there, and how How much more atrocious is it? The name of the movie is Bucha, Bucha. It is not out yet, but you can find the trailer to it on YouTube. So I'm going to go over some of the new information that came out after I did the stream today. And then I am going to also talk about an event. I'm going to read you an article about an event from World War II that no one has heard about, or a lot of people haven't heard about. Something that, hi Daniel, hi, hello friendly Russian hacker. Our friendly Russian hacker is here, but emphasis on friendly Russian hacker. Actually, the friendly Russian hacker is trying to help us get rid of trolls forever. So I would say that he is an incredibly friendly Russian hacker. But thank you. How are you doing? But so basically, all of my moderators despise you because they love trolls. That is quite literally what they love most. They love eating trolls, and so you know how they say human jobs are being replaced by technology. I feel like that is the overall feel of the group chat. But yes, I would appreciate trolls be gone, at least on YouTube. Because they're the most annoying there, especially when they're like, coming in with some porn advertisements or something like that. And I'm just like, honey, who do you think is gonna click on this here? But anyways, so there is an event that happened in Zaporizhia Oblast during World War II at the hands of Russians that a lot of people haven't heard of. And that was incredibly atrocious and cost thousands of lives of Ukrainians, and directly at the hands of Russians. And today, something very similar had happened again at the hands of Russians in a different region of Ukraine. So first, let's catch up on everything that came out while I wasn't streaming, and then I will read you this article about the World War II event. Okay, so here we go. Ukraine resumes rail service from Kharkiv to recently liberated Balaklia. Ukrainian Railways, or Ukrzaliznytsia, announced on September 14th that rail service between Kharkiv and Balaklia and Kharkiv Oblast will resume on September 15th. Railway workers reportedly worked promptly to repair bridges and dozens of damaged tracks. The daily train will stop in Osnova, Zhehor, Zmiev, Zanki, and Shabalinka. These are some cities that I am very aware are not going to give you any information, but I am going to read them out anyway. Russia targets liberated villages as Kherson counteroffensive continues. Yaroslav Yanushevich, the head of the Kherson Oblast military administration, said the government is requesting civilians evacuate from recently liberated towns as Russian forces continue to shell the area. According to Yanushevich, the recently liberated village of Knyazivtsi has been completely destroyed with another settlement, Vysokopilny. Is 80% destroyed, with many other towns in the oblast seeing similar levels of destruction. According to CNN, Russian deputy calling for Putin's resignation refuses to back down. Nikita Yuferev, one of the Russian deputies from Smolensky district of St. Petersburg, who called for Putin to be charged with treason on September 7th, is not backing down. He has already been fined in court and will be threatened with jail next time. We will continue to insist on his resignation, he told CNN through a translator. Let me see how big this Smolensky district is in Russia. If anybody knows, please let me know, because I am very curious as to as to how big or how significant of a district that is. Okay, Smolenskaya municipalny okrug. Okay, so that's in St. Petersburg. That's a municipality of St. Petersburg. That's actually interesting because that is closer than I expected to civilization. It's quite literally a municipal like it's a municipality that looks like pretty close to central St. Petersburg. So that's a little bit of a bigger deal than I imagined it to be. I thought it'd be like, municipalities somewhere deep down in Russia, in a very unknown location that wouldn't necessarily, warrant anything. But it is St. Petersburg. So let's see what awaits for this particular deputy that won't back down. And I'm very curious. See, one of the things that makes me incredibly skeptical of everything that happens in Russia that has to do with like liberation movements or anything like that is that usually those people disappear, and usually those people fall out of windows mysteriously. Usually, they unalive themselves under mysterious circumstances with a shotgun wound to the back of their head, because that's, usually how people unalive themselves. And the fact that this man is alive and well and isn't backing down is quite interesting to me, especially because he's also in St. Petersburg, which is not like a middle of nowhere. And that would be something that would be threatening to Putin, I would say, especially if this guy were to try and make the movement bigger, because he would have some sort of like influence, and he would have ways to influence people. Okay, Caker Buds here says, the West doesn't realize this is Ukraine's third war against Russia in the last 100 years. The Ukrainian-Soviet War 1917 to 21. During World War II, they fought against Soviets and resisted until 1951. Yes, that is very true. We did, in fact, do that. And one of those people who resisted was Stepan Bandera. And that is one of the most popular figures in Russian mythology about Ukrainian about Ukrainian Nazism. But Stepan Bandera was actually one of the reasons why he's so high regarded, especially in Western Ukraine, is because he was liberating Ukraine, and he was in fact a Ukrainian nationalist, and he was in fact the commander-in-chief of the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists and Ukrainian Insurgents Army. But that was not an army that fought to annihilate other nations or to force other nations out of Ukraine or to prove Ukraine's superiority or something like that. That was a movement that fought for Ukrainian sovereignty against Russia, Poland, and Nazi Germany. So, a trifecta of sorts. Ukrainian forces destroy 11 Russian tanks in the south. Ukraine's Southern Operational Command reported on September 14th that Ukrainian forces also destroyed 31 units of Russian equipment, 5 MSDAB howitzers, 1 2S1 Carnation howitzer, 13 units of armored vehicles, and 2 ammunition warehouses in the areas of Mykolaiv and Kherson. While the situation in southern Ukraine remains tense, Ukrainian forces continue to improve their positions and fortify liberated territories, the command said. Russian losses 9 to 10 times higher than Ukrainian losses during counteroffensive, according to Danilov. Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council, Alexei Danilov, made this statement during an interview with Ukraine's Channel 24. Danilov said that the Ukrainian armed forces are breaking military stereotypes and surprising foreign partners with the quality of their work. Explosions heard in Kirovohrad Oblast. Explosions were reported in Kropivnitsky around midnight on September 15th. Andriy Raykovich, the head of the Kirovohrad Oblast military administration, urged residents to shelter. Thank you, ADHD. He later reported that Ukrainian air defense systems were defending the region successfully. The Holodomor was worse than the Holocaust, but Ukrainians don't control Hollywood, so you never hear the side of World War II. So here is something that So I'm going to put this. I'm going to put this comment on widescreen, and I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to tell you what I think. So Buds on YouTube says the Holodomor, which was an artificially made by Stalin hunger in Ukraine, it was in 1931 to 1932. It was also 1927 to 1928 and 1944 to 1945. But the biggest wave of this was 1931 to 1932. It was artificially made famine, and it killed about 15 million Ukrainians. 15 million Ukrainians. So the comment on YouTube says, the Holodomor was worse than the Holocaust, but Ukrainians don't control Hollywood, so you never hear their side of World War II. So Holodomor was a little bit before World War II. A part of it was during World War II, and a part of it was even before that. The worst wave of Holodomor was 1931 to 1932, and normally when we speak about Holodomor, we speak about those events because those were the most damaging. So various estimates estimate Ukrainian losses during Holodomor at 8 to 15 million. Russia denies its involvement and says that it was a bad year for crops. In fact, it is not true. It was not a bad year for crops. What happened during Holodomor was that Stalin installed basically these unbelievable, unachievable quotas for farmers and basically for corn, for wheat and stuff like that they couldn't achieve. And if you were not able to achieve those quotas, the whole town would be cut off from civilization, and this wheat and all of your food would be taken away from you. Every single Ukrainian has a grandma who tells them the stories about them being very young and about their mom quite literally eating soil. Eating soil because there was nothing to eat. There are photos of Ukrainian children being, you know what? I'm going to look up Holodomor in Ukrainian, and I'm going to show you the first image that pops up, and you will understand what I mean by that. If you look it up in Ukrainian, you don't even have to specify which, or you don't even have to specify what you mean by a famine. It will bring you straight to the famine of 1931 to 1932. That's how horrifying the events were. I will show you photos of some Ukrainian children during that time. So I don't know if you know this, but when your body starts losing its functions because you're so hungry and so malnourished, your stomach inflates. So these kids are skin and bones, but their stomachs are all protruding because they're inflated. These are some more images of children during Holodomor era, where you can see their rib cages quite literally protruding. And this is a monument to Holodomor that we have in Ukraine of this little girl who is incredibly famished. Oh, your family escaped from Ukraine to Canada in 1934. I'm fourth generation. Much love from Calgary. Thank you so much. But so here's the thing. The Holodomor invoked on Ukraine by the Soviet authorities resulted in much higher losses than the Holocaust. A little less than 10 years before the Holocaust. Yet no one in the world talks about it. And one of the points that Zelenskyy made during this invasion, when Israel would not recognize what Russia is doing as a genocide. And when Israel didn't recognize Holodomor as a genocide against the population of Ukraine, Zelenskyy said, well, we stand by you and with you, and we recognized Holocaust for what it was, a genocide. So we hope that you are going to extend us the same understanding and the same support, and you are going to recognize Holodomor as a genocide, because it was. And this is the thing, the more I talk about the invasion online, the more I talk to people, the more I talk to you guys, the more I understand that certain things that I grew up with that are very near and dear to me and very, very dear and near to every single Ukrainian have not been discussed worldwide. The more I talk to the wider Western audiences, the more I understand how much Ukraine has been neglected, how many blind eyes have been turned onto us, and how many things we have endured that, quite frankly, no one gave a shit about. So with this comment, I'm realizing that it's incredibly fucked up that Holodomor was never, ever recognized by every democratic country, at least, as a genocide against Ukrainian people, although it had resulted in more deaths than the Holocaust. And if you want to say that it was a bad crop year, how the heck does a bad crop year result in deaths of 15 million people? So yeah, there is that. Give me 1 second. Are you gonna cook right now?
I'm gonna go to bed.
You're gonna go to bed?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna talk. I'm not gonna talk loud. I'm gonna not disturb you. But do you? When you took it out from the big closet, right?
Yeah.
So there is still space for that there.
Well, there is another luggage.
Is it, no. I mean, but like when someone put another luggage in there, or there's.
It's not mine.
No.
So
I
I
know,
assume it was yours. I don't know.
No, it's not. I didn't see it, but I was gonna just say I'm gonna try to shove it back there if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Sorry, my roommate came back, so I'm going to sleep. She's going to sleep, and so I'm going to talk quieter. But I'm sure that it's still you can still hear me because the mic is surely able to catch that. Anyways, so I didn't real Christina Petrovna here on YouTube says, I didn't realize how much trauma we endured until I would tell a normal family story and get blank stares. Yeah, that's the thing, I often I think that we're so used to just taking it and never standing up for the world to stand up for us that we think it's just normal. But if you think about it, every single country has a Holocaust Remembrance Day. Every single country pays tribute to the atrocities that happened during that time. No person knows anything about the Ukrainian famine of 1931 to 1932. And also, if you think about it, that was a year. That was as many as 15 million deaths in 1 year caused by a famine. And the fact that the Soviet authorities tried to say that it was a bad year for crops is abominable to me, because a bad year for crops would still result in people being able to eat something other than soil. And if you go deeper down in history, there were European countries that were offering to send help to Ukraine, as in reinforcements in the form of food, and the Soviet authorities politely declined. And so I think that one of the mandatory things of peace talks and one of the mandatory things of negotiations with Russia when Ukraine wins this war has to be that credible historians come to Ukraine and learn history, explore history, and rewrite and reteach everyone the real history of what had happened. I think that a mandatory requirement of peace talks with Russia should be that Russian schools and Russian kids learn exactly what Russia has done to its neighbors throughout its history. Just like every German knows what Hitler did, every single Russian needs to know what Peter I did, what Ekaterina II did, what Lenin did, what Stalin did, what Khrushchev did, what Gorbachev did, what Beria did. Beria was, Stalin's right hand. What Putin did, what all of them did, and what they didn't do. They and their ancestors. So I know that we as Ukrainians should demand justice for the recognition of all of the stuff that we as a nation have gone through. And we don't need an apology. We don't need salvation. We don't need anybody to make up for it. We just want our history to be as recognized and taken as seriously as everybody else's. And I think that's not that much to ask for. It's not that much to ask for to mention in a history class that while there was a Holocaust, there was also a Holodomor. Both start with an H, and both define an annihilation and genocide of millions of people just because of their nationality. One was caused by Nazi Germany, and one was caused by fascist Russia. So there is that. Partial evacuation of Kryvyi Rih was announced after a Russian missile attack on a dam. Alexander Vikul, head of the military administration of Kryvyi Rih, called for the evacuation of certain streets in the central city and in Hulets districts due to the threat of floods. Russia fired 8 cruise missiles at the Karachuniv Reservoir Dam earlier on September 14th, leading to flooding and the height of the Inholets River reaching a historical maximum. So Inholets River is a river near Kryvyi Rih. Kryvyi Rih is a city in Dnipropetrovsk region, and it is an incredibly important city in some ways because that is the city where Zelenskyy is from. So the explosions at the dam are flooding the city to the point where it is very hard for civilians to stay there, and it's resulting in civilian casualties. And that brings me to the point at which I wanted to read you a story from World War II that nobody has ever heard about, that's incredibly similar to what's happening in Kryvyi Rih right now. In 1941, as Nazi German troops swept through Soviet-era Ukraine, Joseph Stalin's secret police blew up a hydroelectric dam in the southern city of Zaporizhia to slow the Nazi advance. The explosion flooded villages along the banks of the Dnieper River, unaliving thousands of civilians. As Europe marks its day of remembrance for victims of Stalinism and Nazism on August 23rd, a handful of Zaporizhia residents are battling for the recognition of the little-known wartime tragedy. The day, which is also known as Black Ribbon Day, outside Europe coincides with the anniversary of the 1939 Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact of non-aggression between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. Ukraine suffered heavy losses both during World War II and under Stalin. The Zaporizhia events took place in August 1941. As Nazi troops approached the city, Moscow sent in agents from the NKVD, the predecessor of KGB, to blow up the city's Dnipro HES hydroelectric dam. The team successfully carried out its secret mission, which historians say was ordered by Stalin himself, tearing a hole in the dam and temporarily cutting off part of the city from the invaders. But the explosion also flooded villages and settlements along the Dnieper River. The tidal surge unalived thousands of unsuspecting civilians, as well as Red Army officers who were crossing over the river. Since no official death toll was released at the time, the estimated number of victims varies widely. Most historians put it between 20,000 and 100,000, based on the number of people then living in the flooded areas. People were screaming. Survivor Oleksiy Dutsenko says the Dnieper turned red that day. His account, recorded 4 years ago by the television channel 1+1, is one of the last remaining testimonies of the tragedy. People were screaming for help. Cows were mooing, pigs were squealing, people were climbing on trees, he recalled. Many Zaporizhia residents, however, are still unaware of the disaster. Local historians and rights activists accuse city authorities of perpetuating Soviet-era efforts to cover up the truth by refusing to honor the victims. Officials acknowledge that innocent civilians were unalived, but defend the dam's destruction as a necessary measure that helped save countless lives. There was no one at the time to defend Zaporizhia, says Oleksiy Baburin, the head of the Ukrainian Communist Party's regional branch. We had very few soldiers. There were almost no NKVD troops or military regiments who could have stopped the Germans. This is why blowing up Dnipro HES allowed for the evacuation to continue. Here is an interesting thought. Ukrainians suffered from Russian troops way more than they have ever suffered from Nazis. So, to be fair, Ukraine has always been paying the sacrifice to the Soviet Union. And honestly, as a Ukrainian, I don't think it was a necessary sacrifice because I wish that somebody would have taken out the Soviet army. So I wish that they did not blow up the bridge, and I wish that they did not stop Nazis at the cost of Ukrainian lives once again. They're a huge army, right? And they're invincible, as they say. They could have done that some other way, right? Somewhere further down into Russia. Like blowing up a dam in a Russian river? Right? So Russian civilians could pay the price, not Ukrainian civilians, as we always did? There was no one at the time to defend Zaporizhia, says Oleksiy Baburin, the head of the Ukrainian Communist Party's regional branch. We had very few soldiers. There were almost no NKVD troops or military regiments who could have stopped the Germans. This is why blowing up Dnipro HES allowed for the evacuation to continue. But a number of historians reject such claims, insisting that the operation was poorly timed and that Nazi troops had no immediate plans to seize the city. No official recognition. Historian Vladislav Morocco says that men in charge of the mission, Boris Epov and Alexander Petrovsky, rushed the dam's explosion due to their fear of Stalin. In reality, Epov and his subordinates were concerned less by the possible German invasion of Zaporizhia than by the fact that they may not be able to carry out Stalin's order. They were afraid that Dnipro HES would be captured and that they would not be able to carry out his orders. A monument close to the hydroelectric station, which is still in use, pays tribute to the troops that defended the facility during World War II. A group of local residents this year put up a commemorative wooden cross in Zaporizhia on August 18th, the anniversary of the Dnipro HES tragedy. But there is still no official monument or plaque in the city to honor its victims. Morocco and others have written an open letter urging city authorities to right this wrong. The letter went unanswered. This petition was public. Civil organizations and citizens responded to it and expressed their support. But the government is acting like it never happened. And this article was written in 2013. So that was right when Yanukovych was at the helm of the Ukrainian government. You don't say, a pro-Russian man. You don't say it went unanswered. That would make Russia responsible for things and make them look at it, and it's not something he was getting paid to do. I want to show you what the dam looked like, rather what the destruction on the dam looked like. And then I also want to show you this YouTube video that comes with, which is the interview of the survivor. So you could watch it, and I think that it's on YouTube. And I think I can share it full screen. So let me try and set that up. And I think that you will have to look at the subtitles. So I'm going to have to do this again. And if you're on YouTube, oh, hi Antelope, you're going to be able to see it in a normal way. So here. Share. Okay, and now share screen, and I will show you current tab Ukraine archive footage dam. So let me see, this came with the I messaged Saint Van, and I haven't heard back from him in a couple of days, but he is in Kherson and there is a huge counteroffensive going on. So I feel like he might be a little bit busy, but I'm going to buy the night vision gear that I was suggested to buy by a person who who is very well versed in stuff like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and purchase one of those. Or this is a footage from that time. So yeah, this is what that looked like, and that resulted in the death of 20,000 to 100,000 civilians, and there is no way to know. This is just estimates based on how many people lived in the area at the time. I think while we were talking about that, there was another update from the Kyiv Independent, and it says, head of the Russian-controlled Wagner Group, Prigozhin, being established as face of Russia's invasion. In the latest update, the Institute of the Study of War said Wagner Group financier Yevgeny Prigozhin may be used to quell the increasing dissatisfaction among Russia's military blogger community with Russia's failures in Ukraine. Some bloggers have even recalled to replace Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu with Prigozhin, blaming Shoigu for Russia's defeat in Kharkiv Oblast, the Institute for the Study of War wrote. And here are some news from Ukraine that we haven't seen yet. This is a video of how the locals of the newly liberated village greet the International Legion of Territorial Defense of Ukraine. They rejoice everyone from the French to Americans. Thank you, Antelepi. Thank you so much.
Добрий день.
No, they took out a different damn duck, but that dam is about the same size.
Сколько вони нас напили? Хотіли, комендантський час.
Що всі живі, що всі домами повернулися. А ви
Щоб всі дома
ви що, всі не помінялися? Який є?
Ребята, только живі, оставайтесь, ради Бога.
She says, guys, just stay alive, please. That's the most important thing.
Будьте самого. Это страшно, когда дети. Спасибо. Держитесь, мы с вами.
Будете тут?
Будете тут? Вы тут будете? Yeah. English. Speak English. Oh, yeah. Французский. Да, французский. American. Да.
Почему вы нас не понимаете? Спасибо вам большое.
Спасибо.
These ladies talking to these soldiers in Russian, and then they realize that these soldiers are American and French and they don't understand them, and they're like, oh. This is a trophy that the Ukrainian military took today.
Захватили трофеи русский танк. Дед, помахай. Зедочка, сука. Что пидоры, ебать. Прикурили, ебать. Сделай танк. Вот так.
No, this is blue ribbons are the symbol of Ukrainian military. On the wall of one of the cells in the police station of Balaklia, where local people were tortured, BBC journalists found the carved text of the Lord's Prayer with the notches of how many days had passed in detention. The occupying Bakhchisarai district court in Crimea prosecuted 6 participants of the wedding at which the song Oi u Luzi Chervona Kalina, O the Red Viburnum in the Meadow, was played. The guests were sentenced to fines of 50,000 rubles, as well as from 5 to 15 days of administrative arrest in Crimea. Thank you, Antelepi. Which countries restricted entry for Russians and how exactly did they do it? Infographics. So The entry ban for holders of tourist visas was issued here. So basically, red is entry ban for holders of tourist visas. Pink is the agreement on the simplified visa regime has been canceled. Gray is the issuing of new tourist visas has been suspended. Hi, Glenn. I'm doing okay. How are you? Good night, Norm. Volodymyr Zelensky's chevron today says Ukraine or unaliving, or rather Ukraine or death. Not unaliving, because it's rather he means Ukraine or death. He wants Ukraine or he's ready to die. So it says Ukraine or death. Україна або смерть. Seventh grade students meet their teacher, Roman Palamarchuk, who came to visit from the front lines. Take a look. You know, this is what we're fighting for. And that is what I'm going to leave you with tonight. I hope that was a sweet thing to watch. I hope that the history lesson or story was interesting to watch. And I will see you tomorrow with more news. I wish you guys a good night. If you are on Twitter, please follow me. It's the same as here at Yulia. I do post a lot of updates. Hi Anna. Yes, I already talked about it. Zelenskyy is fine though. He did get into a car accident and it does look like another assassination attempt. And he has at this point survived like 14 of them. So hopefully he is like a triple, quadruple, quintuple cat and has way more than 9 lives. And I will see you guys tomorrow. And if you are not a member of Patreon but would like to support my newscasts and would like to support me to be able to deliver news to you as much as I do, please consider signing up for Patreon. The lowest tier it is $10, and every subscription goes a very long way. I do very much appreciate it. It is not mandatory, nor is something I am trying to make you do. But if you'd like to, my Patreon is Spy News Network INTL. And there is a lot of content that you will not find anywhere else. And you will also be the first to know everything. Like tomorrow, after my interview with the Azov soldier that was rescheduled by him, I will be posting some quotes from the interview with him. And tonight, I still have to post some recipes from my grandma's bakery. So I will see you on Patreon in a little bit. Well, rather, the cakes will, the recipes will, and I will see the rest of you tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye-bye.